It feels like just yesterday AI was the next big thing, right? The future was here, but now it's kind of become the punchline. There's this strange tension in the air where all that initial excitement has started to curdle into discontent and sometimes even outright hostility. So, what on earth happened? And it seems like it all boils down to this one really simple question. After all the hype, all the billions and billions of dollars poured in, people are starting to look around and ask, okay, but what is all of this actually for? And frankly, the answers they're getting just aren't cutting it. And make no mistake, this is not just some debate happening on Twitter. This message, scrawled on an ad in the New York City subway, shows you just how raw and visceral this backlash has become. It's this public rejection of a technology that, for a lot of people, feels like it's being forced down their throats. So how did we get from, wow, this is amazing, to this? Let's dig in. To really get what's happening now, we've got to rewind the clock just a little bit. We need to see how that initial wave of excitement crashed and turned into the widespread skepticism we see today. And trust me, it happened fast. Just look at this timeline. In 2022, ChatGPT drops and everyone is curious, optimistic, playing with it. Fast forward just 3 years to 2025, and that whole vibe has soured into deep cynicism. That is a whiplash-inducing turnaround in public opinion, and we've got the numbers to prove it. According to Pew Research, the percentage of Americans who think AI will do them more harm than good has more than doubled. It shot up from just 18% to a whopping 43% in only 3 years. So this isn't just a feeling, it's a measurable, massive shift. And as this frustration has bubbled up, a whole new language has emerged to talk about what people are seeing online. A language of resistance, you could almost call it. The most important word you need to know is slop. It might have started as a meme, but it perfectly captures this collective feeling about the endless, cheap, joyless, and just plain bad content that AI is churning out and flooding our feeds with. And you see this rejection of slop everywhere. Skechers gets absolutely roasted online for a lazy AI ad with distorted images. You have artists like Bad Bunny telling his fans, straight up, if you like that fake AI song of me, you are not my friend. And when Meta launched an AI-only video app, the internet's response was basically a universal viral eye roll. No one asked for this. So what's the real problem here? Why such a gut reaction? Well, according to Natalia Stanish at AI Forensics, it's because this flood of AI junk threatens the entire point of social media. Human connection. Our feeds are literally becoming less social, and people are absolutely noticing. But this backlash, it goes way deeper than just being annoyed at bad ads. It's really rooted in these profound fears about jobs, about labor, and about exploitation. This is where we get to the human cost of it all. You can see this perfectly with the rise of the word clanker. It's a slur for droids from Star Wars, and Gen Z has repurposed it on TikTok to talk about the AI systems they see as coming for their jobs. Yeah, it's kind of a joke, but it points to a very, very real anxiety about what the future of work even looks like. And this is where the conversation gets a lot darker. Alex Hanna at the Distributed AI Research Institute puts it this way. Companies want you to see AI as magic. But she argues that if you pull back the curtain, what you actually find is a system built on data that was scraped without anyone's permission and, well, human exploitation. It's this growing awareness that critics like Gary Marcus think is the real engine behind the backlash. He argues that the public is just finally catching on, that the promises of generative AI have been, and this is a direct quote, wildly oversold. Okay, so the public is catching on. They're rejecting the slop. And they're starting to see that maybe this tech has been oversold. This skepticism raises a much bigger, multi-trillion-dollar question. What about the money? Could this whole AI boom be one giant economic bubble that's just waiting to pop? The amount of money being thrown around is honestly hard to even wrap your head around. In just the first 6 months of 2025, we're talking over $320 billion invested in AI infrastructure around the world. To put that in perspective, that is more than the entire yearly GDP of a country like Finland spent in just 6 months. And that's just one piece of it. A single project, the Stargate AI initiative, is valued at a mind-bending $500 billion. That's $500 billion. The sheer amount of cash being funneled into this is like nothing we've ever seen before.
But here's the thing. Experts are starting to see some pretty big cracks in the foundation. A lot of this money just seems to be moving in circles. You have AI companies investing huge sums in other AI companies. For instance, NVIDIA is pouring $100 billion into OpenAI, which is one of its biggest customers. What seems to be missing is real demand from outside the AI bubble. Normal companies paying for all this stuff.
And that gets us to the absolute core of the economic fear, which Professor Andrew Olitzko sums up perfectly. He says the spending is outpacing any plausible future profit. In other words, the math just isn't adding up. In fact, the consulting firm Bain actually put a number on it. They calculated that to justify all this spending, the AI industry needs to bring in about $2 trillion a year by 2030. Their prediction? They're going to miss that mark by $800 billion. That is a massive, potentially catastrophic gap between the hype and the reality. So that brings us to the big, flashing question mark, right? The public is over it. The business model looks questionable. So where does all of this go from here? Well, here's the thing. Regardless of the backlash, regardless of the bubble fears, one thing is for sure. This technology is already out there. It's already in motion, and the road ahead looks anything but smooth.
I think this quote from Adam Dorr at RethinkX just nails the feeling of this moment. He says, "We're already on the train. We can't really get off. And hey, maybe the destination will be amazing, but the journey to get there, it is going to be chaotic."
And that really leaves us with one last thing to think about. With this much money, this much power, and this much momentum pushing this train forward, is there anyone on board, any company, any government, any group of people that is actually willing or even able to reach for the emergency brake?